Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a book with a pretty direct title. Make Over Your Sex Life Tonight. Hot, fast, erotic fixes. And sensuous stories to get things started.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly leave much to the imagination, does it?
Not at all. So the idea is, quick fixes.
Yeah.
Getting straight to actionable stuff you can use, like right away if things feel like they've hit a plateau.
Exactly. We've gone through excerpts, and it's written by a sex journalist, a sexologist, so someone who's clearly immersed in this world.
And you mentioned the acknowledgments were interesting.
They really were. I mean, besides the usual editors and colleagues, there are specific thanks to friends, people who actually did these makeovers,
Oh, wow.
and even past and present lovers. It gives it a certain authenticity, maybe? Like it's grounded in real life, not just theory.
Definitely lends it some weight.
Yeah.
And it seems some core ideas, like the sex life makeovers concept itself and something called the orgasm loop, actually showed up first in Redbook magazine.
That's right. So these aren't brand new concepts pulled out of thin air. They've been, field tested to some extent, published in a mainstream magazine.
So our mission for you, the listener, is pretty clear then. We want to pull out the practical, the useful, the stuff that doesn't feel overwhelming.
Yeah, the main message we're kind of exploring is that boosting your sex life doesn't have to mean, years of therapy or reading super complicated manuals.
It's more about simple, maybe fresh ideas you can try tonight.
Exactly. That's the promise anyway. Let's see what's inside.
Okay, so where does the book kick things off?
It tackles that feeling, I think lots of couples know it, where sex isn't bad, it technically works.
But the thrill is gone.
Yeah.
It's become routine, predictable.
And the book sort of pushes back against the usual advice, right? Like, it's not immediately jumping to go see a therapist or master tantric secrets.
Right, it's quite direct about that. It suggests that for many, the immediate problem isn't some deep-seated relationship trauma, it's just boredom. The fix, therefore, can be more immediate, too. So these instant makeovers, what are we talking about? Like really simple stuff.
Sometimes, yeah. Things like just changing the order of how you usually make love. Or adding one new move, one different kind of touch or kiss.
It's like tweaking the recipe, not throwing it out.
Precisely. You know the ingredients, you know the steps. But maybe try doing step 3 before step 2, or adding a pinch of something unexpected.
That small shift, that novelty can be surprisingly effective, can't it?
Absolutely. Breaking that we always do it this way pattern introduces an element of surprise, and, well, surprise can be pretty sexy.
Okay, let's move on to a really common sticking point.
Huh.
Desire discrepancy. One partner wants it more than the other. First up, I want sex. He doesn't.
Ah, yes. And the standard advice often puts the pressure on the woman, right? Be more flirty, be more attentive, maybe cook his favorite meal.
Yeah, kind of indirect approaches. What does this book say?
It goes for more direct, maybe more overtly sexual tactics for her, less hinting, more showing.
Showing how. Give us some examples.
Okay, so things like wearing provocative clothing, maybe something sheer or his favorite shirt with nothing underneath, or even just how she holds herself, Sitting suggestively, making eye contact.
Okay.
It also suggests, quite boldly, maybe masturbating where he can see. Not necessarily inviting him to join right away, but as a clear signal of her own desire.
That's definitely a step beyond leaving a suggestive note. And what about initiating? You mentioned quickies.
Yeah, the idea is to maybe handle some of her own arousal beforehand, perhaps through masturbation. So the initiation is more about connection and release rather than a long buildup.
Ah, so it tackles the potential, I don't have the energy for a whole production objection from him.
Kind of, yeah. Lowering the perceived barrier to entry, if you will.
And there's a specific position mentioned, the corkscrew twist, said to be good even if he's not, like, super motivated.
Yes, it's a female on top variation. The book suggests it works even with a modest erection because she controls the movement, the rhythm, the depth.
So it puts her in the driver's seat, literally.
Pretty much. She can focus on her pleasure and the visual stimulation while it might feel less demanding for him.
Interesting dynamic shift. And what was the Sleeping Beauty approach?
Yeah.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah. It's the idea of the partner who wants sex gently waking the other one up, erotically.
Oh.
Think soft touches, light kisses, maybe gentle oral stimulation while they're still half asleep. The book gives an example where this worked after more direct approaches failed. It's about being sensual, not demanding.
Right, tapping into that sleepy, less guarded state, perhaps. Okay, let's flip it. He wants sex. I don't.
The other side of the coin, standard advice. More romance from him, better communication. Maybe she should just, do it sometimes.
But the book's instant makeover here is different.
Very different. It's extremely focused on her. The strategy for him is basically make her life easier and focus entirely on her pleasure.
Easier how? Like
Yeah.
doing the dishes.
Exactly. The book literally says taking charge of chores and childcare can be a massive turn-on. Reducing her stress and fatigue frees up mental space for desire.
So the sexiest thing he can do might be vacuuming.
According to this, quite possibly.
Yeah.
It also suggests things like gifting her a G-spot vibrator and explicitly saying, tonight is all about you, no reciprocation expected.
Taking the pressure off completely.
Yeah. And there are specific technique tips too, like finding the G-spot, the AFE zone, using fingers in a come-hither motion for the G-spot.
It gets quite practical.
Very. Even suggests him watching her use the vibrator can be arousing for both and might make her more inclined later.
Okay, but then it also mentions some less conventional tactics for him. Electric masturbation. Bribes.
Right. Electric masturbation using a vibrator on himself is framed as a way for him to manage his own urges without pressuring her. Less neediness might actually help the dynamic.
Makes sense.
And yeah, the sex deals or bribes, offering to do chores in exchange for intimacy, it's presented a bit tongue-in-cheek maybe, but as a pragmatic way to break a stalemate over frequency.
Definitely pragmatic.
Yeah.
And male submission as a turn-on for her?
Yes, the idea that him relinquishing control, being tied up, told what to do, can be exciting for some women and might help her tap into a more dominant side. Flipping the script.
Okay. Moving on.
Oh, sure.
Lack of time and energy. A huge one for so many people.
Absolutely. And the book offers some surprisingly logistical solutions, almost like time management for sex.
Like foreplay in the morning, release at night.
Exactly. Start things off with some connection in the morning, build anticipation, then maybe have a quicker encounter later when energy is low.
Spreading it out, I like that.
Yeah.
And falling asleep in the stuffing and spooning position.
Yeah, maintaining that physical closeness, maybe his penis inside her while spooning, even if you just drift off, it keeps intimacy present.
And doing it sitting down. Or grabbing moments when the kids are distracted.
All about low effort, seizing opportunities.
Mhm.
Sex on a chair requires less energy, apparently. And if the kids are absorbed in a game for 15 minutes, maybe that's long enough.
It's about being flexible and opportunistic.
Pretty much. And this is where that orgasm loop comes in again, right? Specifically for women distracted by mental chatter.
Yes, exactly. It's positioned as a way to overcome that mental to-do list that can kill the mood.
And it sounds quite involved combining cognitive psychology with Eastern ideas.
It does, focusing on a vivid image, specific breathing patterns, engaging PC muscles. The book really emphasizes that mind-body link.
Directing focus and energy to enhance blood flow and arousal. It's presented as being, well, remarkably effective for achieving orgasm, especially if distraction is an issue.
A tool for staying present.
Oh,
Okay, next section.
yeah.
Arousal issues. This can be tricky. Her body doesn't turn me on anymore. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a tough one to admit, let alone fix. The book's first suggestion is maybe surprisingly simple. Use a blindfold.
A blindfold. Why?
Do deliberately take visual judgment out of the equation. It forces you to rely on touch, sound, smell, pure sensation.
Ah, so you're not focusing on perceived flaws, yours or theirs.
Exactly. You bypass those visual insecurities that can creep in and just feel the experience.
That's actually a really clever psychological trick. What else?
It suggests, maybe controversially, flirting with strangers just to boost your own sense of desirability and, crucially, nurturing your private fantasy life.
So internal work feeding external attraction.
Kind of, keeping your own erotic engine primed. Plus, masks and costumes leaning into play and imagination.
Right, bringing in that element of the unknown and specific positions like rear entry and the X position.
Yeah, rear entry minimizes face-to-face, which can help with body image issues while allowing deep sensation. The X position from the Kama Sutra is apparently comfortable for many body types and focuses on genital connection without highlighting body shape as much.
Okay, let's talk foreplay. More foreplay, please. A classic complaint.
And the book says the usual advice is kind of obvious. It pushes for more creativity, more sizzle. It calls it love play.
Love play, okay? And it mentions the ultimate kiss.
Yes, described as this really deep, passionate, all-in kiss that almost becomes part of the main event itself, blurring the lines.
And it gets quite detailed on oral techniques, doesn't it, for both partners?
Oh, very detailed. For fellatio, circling the head, flicking the frenulum, using the whole tongue, different pressures, deep-throating mentions, swallowing.
Wow, okay.
And for cunnilingus, Stroking pubic hair first, parting labia gently, circular versus back and forth motions, combining clitoral focus with G-spot or other areas. It's quite instructional.
The makeover plan for foreplay also talks about teasing.
Right. Big emphasis on teasing. Visual teasing, like a slow striptease, or just suggestive movements, and physical teasing, like light touches, whispers, starting and stopping, building that tension.
And knowing your partner's hot buttons.
Essential, finding out what specifically works for them and making a point of using it.
All right, let's wade into performance concerns first. He won't go down on me.
Yeah.
The book seems to suggest skipping the therapy for an immediate fix.
Yeah, the focus is very much on direct communication in this instant first night makeover going down. Key advice. Start soft, gentle, pay attention to her reactions.
So not just mimicking porn.
Definitely not. It emphasizes experimenting with different tongue movements, gentle sucking, soft licking around the clitoris, not just zeroing in aggressively.
And for longer-term improvement, edible undies.
Ha, yes. The edible undies makeover for fun and novelty. And exploring more virtuoso tongue moves while remembering that sometimes, for some women, that direct flick is exactly right. It's about variety and responsiveness.
Okay, the flip side. She rarely performs fellatio. Similar direct approach.
Pretty much. Make it positive for her. Maybe substitute with breast play initially. Introduce the deeper and deeper technique where she controls depth. Offer the quid pro quo of the 69 position for mutual benefit.
And again, detailed technique tips.
Yep. Lip lock, strumming the shaft, using the full tongue. Lots of specific guidance.
What about when he loses his erection during lovemaking? That can cause a lot of anxiety.
Huge anxiety. The book acknowledges checking for physical causes, but gives immediate tips too, like the perfect stand-up kiss.
Which involves hot and cold drinks.
Alternating sips of hot and cold liquids in the mouth during oral sex. Apparently the temperature change can be stimulating. Also, verbal arousal, encouraging her to talk dirty.
Right.
And crucially, focusing on pleasuring her even without a full erection. Intimacy doesn't have to stop just because the erection falters.
That's a really important point. Reassurance. Okay, what if she won't try anything new, stuck in a rut?
The book sees this as potentially serious, indicating a deep rut. The instant fix is surprisingly gentle. Learn how to breathe.
Breathe. How does that help?
It's about synchronized, sensual breathing together. A simple, non-threatening way to reconnect physically and build awareness before tackling bigger changes.
A starting point.
Exactly. Then the longer plan involves actively learning new positions, new manual or oral techniques, maybe even using sex guides or magazines together for inspiration, breaking the inertia step by step.
Let's talk release issues. It's over too fast, a common male concern.
Very common. The book suggests standard advice isn't always enough. The instant fix, planned preliminary ejaculation.
So, masturbating beforehand?
Yeah, a short time before partner sex. To take the edge off, reduce anxiety. Then the longer plan includes stop-start techniques, the testicle tug.
Oh, what?
The testicle tug, gently pulling down on the testicles during stimulation, said to delay orgasm. Also, specific positions like the scissors hold or the Chinese wedding night position.
Okay.
And reframing ejaculation as part of her pleasure, the money shot idea. Plus, ancient Chinese techniques like muscle control, the locking method, and the passion flower position for intimacy and endurance.
Lots of options there. Now for women, I don't come with him.
The book starts with reassurance. Needing clitoral stimulation is normal, common, don't feel broken.
That's good. And the advice.
Very practical. Masturbate before partner sex if it helps build arousal, openly or privately. Physically guide his hand. Communicate clearly like this. Faster, right there. Use a vibrator during intercourse, the vibrator ride. Aim for synchronized orgasms sometimes.
Empowering her to take charge of her pleasure.
Absolutely. Okay, final sections. Attitude problems. Starting with, I get bored with a woman after a few weeks, months, years.
Oof. Sounds like a pattern. What's the fix?
Novelty, novelty, novelty. Playing games, role-playing, maybe teasing with, carefully chosen, stories about exes if the dynamic allows. Exploring boundaries together, threesomes, anal, SM are mentioned as possibilities to discuss.
Pushing the envelope.
Yeah. Reversing roles, making orgasm itself an Olympic event, exploring multiple extended whole-body orgasms with techniques like the orgasm loop or kabaza, challenging each other emotionally, sex workshops, toys and accessories. Basically, keep introducing new elements.
What about singles who keep picking bad lovers?
The advice is blunt. If it's a consistent pattern, maybe look for different partners. But if you're in a relationship and dissatisfied, the key is communication.
The instant first night makeover. The big talk.
Exactly. Lay the issues out. Discuss desired changes. Other ideas include Acting like a porn star, going through the motions enthusiastically, playing fantasy games, perfecting signature moves, and paying close attention to touch and kissing style early on when dating.
Good indicators.
Hmm.
And the conflict of we never have sex because we can't agree on when, how, or how much.
Simple instant fix, negotiate. Compromise for one night. Each partner focuses solely on pleasing the other, no strings attached for that encounter.
A temporary truce focused on giving. Okay, variations, kink and anal sex. What if one partner wants kink, the other doesn't?
Gentle introduction. Instant first night makeover. Playing slave. A short, defined game with clear limits. Then the longer plan involves taking turns with dominant submissive roles, trying tie-and-tease, light bondage, spanking, adding toys, maybe exploring porn together, defines light SM, roleplay, anal with prep, voyeurism, exhibitionism briefly.
And reluctance towards anal sex specifically. He's not putting it there.
Acknowledge it's more common now, partly due to porn. Instant fix. Simulated anal intercourse using fingers first. A very gentle intro. Actual anal sex requires enthusiastic consent and, crucially, proper preparation lube, relaxation, communication.
Consent and prep are key. And the book revisits the can't agree issue as a sign of deeper conflict.
Yes, basically saying if you always disagree on sex, the problem probably isn't just sex. Stop making excuses about timing or technique and address the underlying relationship issues.
The sex issue is a symptom.
Right.
Last area, fantasy. What if I shared my fantasies and he isn't speaking to me anymore?
Immediate damage control. Instant first night makeover. Apologizely suck up. Do what you need to do to smooth things over right now.
Practical, if a bit cynical.
Well, yeah. For long term, share fantasies carefully. Never admit to ones about close relatives, friends. Don't use them to create distance. Do try to weave your partner's good qualities into fantasies. Use them to fuel desire for your partner.
Make it about connection, not escape. And if one wants to act out fantasies and the other doesn't?
Caution is advised by experts. The book notes. Instant makeover. Let him write the script. Give the reluctant partner control over the scenario.
Empowers them.
Exactly. Also suggest breaking the fantasy down into smaller, acceptable parts. Or try phone sex first, less pressure than acting it out physically right away.
Exploring verbally first makes sense.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into make over your sex life tonight, what are the big takeaways for listeners?
I think it really comes down to possibility. Making real positive changes tonight is, well, possible. Doesn't always need this huge dramatic overhaul.
Right. It's often about small tweaks, direct communication, maybe saying something you haven't said before, and just being willing to try one new thing.
You don't have to fix everything in the relationship or become a sex expert overnight to have a better experience tonight.
Exactly. It offers a lot of practical grab-and-go ideas, which is pretty refreshing compared to some of the more heavy advice out there.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day, think about just one small twist or idea we talked about. Just one thing that feels maybe doable that you could actually try tonight.
Yeah, what might be the most surprising outcome if you did? Or maybe the most exciting? And remember, this dive is just scratching the surface. What else are you curious about now? What other doors might this open up?